Fast Saga was once again directed by veteran series director Justin Lin, who gave us Tokyo Drift 3 on up to 6. And once again stars Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, and pretty much everybody you've already seen. And it follows the story of Dom's long-lost brother Jakob, who was hired by the terrorist Cipher, the terrorist hacker from the last film, to take revenge on Dom and his crew. What's going on, guys, and welcome back once again to the Repster, to where movies and entertainment are our reputation. As promised, I'm getting this review out, finally. I really had to see this twice, only because of the whole Han thing. Everybody knows Han got killed in 3, and everybody knows that he came back because it shows him in the trailer. So I really had to look at this movie again, but I'll get more into that later. But honestly, what can you say about a movie that started off with a simple concept of street racing and then goes on to this global espionage type thing? It just exploded. I don't really think it did like that until like the 4th one. Because by the time the 3rd one came out, everybody's saying that it was running out of gas in terms of box office. But then when Vin Diesel and crew, decided to return, that's what fueled it back up. I really don't have a problem with the direction it had. I've heard several people, I've got several friends that says otherwise. I was kind of disappointed, but not this player. I really honestly don't have a problem with it. I like dumb, silly, out of this world action. That's just me. That's my defense. I don't give a D who disagrees with me. That's y'all's prerogative. It's just me. So without further ado, let's get into the positives of F9, the Fast Saga. What else could I have called it? There's really no pattern with the titles here. The story arc was pretty good. There's this whole backstory with Dom and his brother and his dad that really set up the movie. The way this movie starts, you get the old, I know this is kind of irrelevant, but you get the old 90s Universal logo, which I thought was kind of weird. It's like, okay, are we seeing a Fast and Furious movie, or are we seeing another comeback classic? Because my theater used to have a lot of those when theaters started opening back up. But no, it's just the way that they wanted to do it, because it actually starts in the late 80s, in 1989. Which is when, I think, is when that Universal logo changed to how it was back in the 90s. But I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it gave Dom more of a interesting perspective, and you see some things that was mentioned in past films, and I thought it set it up pretty well. And I thought it really helped the movie move forward story-wise. Though there's also a negative side to this, it was still a pretty interesting way to start it. It was a pretty interesting flashback and everything that you see, and you see it kind of spread out through this film. Without giving too much away, that's all I'll say. The characters is great. Of course, you get Vin Diesel coming back, Michelle Rodriguez, Ludacris Bridges, Tyrese Gibson. They're all just great as usual. Tyrese Gibson with his funny one-liners. He's like the movie clown of this franchise, pretty much, ever since he showed up in Too Fast, Too Furious. Then he was absent and then showed back up again in Fast 5. But yeah, still, he was pretty funny. Ludacris, on a side note, he's always been one of my favorite rappers. I don't really listen to much of his music anymore because I think he's mostly doing acting anyway. But back when I was first getting into rap, he was like one of those that I would always listen to. So it was nice seeing him come into this franchise ever since Fast 5. And he's also got newcomer John Cena, who played a pretty fair enough villain. I never really was a fan of John Cena. I was more of a rock fan. I never watched wrestling or anything, but in terms of movies, and even though John Cena hadn't really been in that much, I watched The Marine, but that's about the only other movie I liked him in. I didn't really like him in anything else other than, The Marine and Bumblebee. But other than that, Dwayne Johnson, of course, he's going to be the one that blew up the most. He's like in Dwayne Johnson's shadow. But John Cena, he did a really good job. I actually liked him in this film. And Charlize Theron, she returns as the infamous hacker Cipher. You just want to strangle. She didn't do much in this one, but she was in it enough for you to actually still hate her. The choreographed action scenes, I liked how they were filmed. Now there's going to be a difference for what I'm going to say next, but I like the way the action films were filmed. they gave me that tense feeling. Yes, there's a negative side to this, and you've heard it everywhere ever since this movie dawned. But I liked the way it was filmed. Not to get too sidetracked, I still like the way this action movie was filmed with the action. I still like the way this film was filmed with the action. Yes, there is some major inconsistencies with logic and numbers and everything. But still, when the action was still going on, was physically going on, I like the way they filmed it. From a filmmaker's perspective. From a filming standpoint. The tone and pace was superb. There was never a dull moment. I never felt bored, as most people would say with this film, because of the so over-the-top inconsistencies. Not this way. The direction was good. Like I said with the story, I like the whole long-lost brother thing, which there's another thing to that I'll add later, but I like the whole direction that this took. It was just something new. To me, it was just new. I'm not like your basic film critic. I'm just a guy that loves talking about movies, so I'm not talking here like a film critic. I'm just talking like a film audience member. I like the way this went. And Justin Lin, he did a really good job. Like I said, he gave us Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious 4, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, and then he retired to do Star Trek Beyond, I believe. Back in 2013 or 14, somewhere around there. So other directors took over Furious 7 and Fate of the Furious, but when he returned for this, it was a great comeback for him. He hadn't lost his touch. And now on to the mixed. As I said before about the action, I liked seeing the cars explode and getting sucked into the magnets and all this crazy stuff. Despite all that, there was some major logic inconsistencies. As much as I like this movie, I'm still not going to ignore, and I'm just going to be very clear here that I'm still not blind to what everybody else was saying about it. I do see the illogical, over-the-top, silly decisions that they made with this. You get human beings that gets pummeled and just bounces like a beach ball and not a scratch. One of the characters actually mentions, are we invincible? Are we like superheroes and this and that? And I guess they added that line. They wanted to make that a topic a little bit in this movie to try to make it okay, but it still doesn't change the fact that it was kind of silly. It was kind of over the top dumb in a way. But in my defense, I like that stuff. And I'm not going to apologize for it, which is why I'm adding this into the mix. However, I won't ignore it. I'm not blind to it. Still, there's this one scene where John Cena takes Vin Diesel and slams him in the doorway with his head, and he doesn't even flinch. And the car bridge scene that it clearly showed in the trailer, with the car going over and then attaching itself to a rope or whatever, that was crazy. That was just a little bit over the top, a little bit out there. Some have said that they got taken away from this movie completely. And some have said that the franchise pretty much got ruined. But logic went out the door long ago. We kind of figured that it was going to get to this point. But, you know, again, I can stand it more than most people. I can let things go. But again, I can see why most people will get taken away from this. Because it was a lot to take in. They did cross a lot of barriers. That being said, let's dive into the negatives. Though I like Vin Diesel, he was the same character we've seen many times before. The loving family man. And this is what kind of gets me a little bit. The whole long lost brother thing. There was certain things that happened that was sprinkled in the past scenes where this is the guy that said this in the past, but then he does something else in this movie that contradicts everything that he just said. I'm trying to explain this the best way I can without spoiling it, but let's just say it didn't really fit his persona. It didn't really show that he was like the same, while at the same time they were trying to like make excuses for it. I don't know, there's just so many negative personas to Dom in this movie that you wouldn't think he had it in him. It was just kind of a downfall in that area. And Han's resurrection, everybody knows, since Han got killed, everybody knows he returns because it shows him in the trailer. But the way they explain it, there's this whole backstory where it explains how Han survived that car crash. They didn't explain it enough. No matter how hard I tried to look, and this was the second time I watched it. I watched F9 on premiere night, and then I just got back watching it for the second time. I looked so hard what they were trying to say, but it was still not clear enough. If they'd have just added one more simple thing, it would have cleared it up a little better, but they never did. And that was one of the main reasons why I really wanted to see. I was going to see this regardless, but that was one of the main reasons why I really wanted to see this. That was just a little bit of a letdown. It was a little disappointing. I should also mention that, and I noticed this, as soon as Justin Lin was announced to come back to this franchise, and then I see that they decided to bring Han back, that tells me right there that Sung Kang, I believe is his name, that played Han, and director Justin Lin has a really great relationship. If you think about it, Justin Lin directed the ones where Han was in it. And then after he was killed, somebody else took over as director for 2 movies, and then when they bring him back, it was the same director again. There was a little bit of a trend there, so that's good. I think they have a really great working relationship, and that's always good to have. It's just something I picked up earlier on before they even announced when this movie was coming out, because they usually announce like the cast members and directors and everything firsthand. There are plenty of inconsistencies, but if you're like me, a weirdo and a sucker for off-the-wall, nonsensical action, look no further. F9 is spicy but digestible. So F9, the Fast Saga, have you seen it yet? What did you think of it? Did you think it was over the top, or did you like it better than the others? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace the rep out, and don't go too fast.